wear your spectacles, don't you know you need them?
Well, it's in there somewhere. Well, hello, everybody. All right. So tonight, basically, we have a special called meeting. All right. I called to order the August 5th, 2025 special call meeting of the Morrow City Council. If you will stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. First order of business is consideration for the approval of an intergovernmental agreement for the use and distribution of the proceeds of the 2027 Special Purpose Local Option Sales Tax for capital project outlays, and it's defined in there. Mr. Baker.
This is not what I need. I need a spreadsheet of the special, the SPLOST project. Good evening, Mayor, Council, and ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming to this evening. This is a intergovernmental agreement that you'll see on the attachment. Basically, it's a similar one that's entered into anytime we do a SPLOST agreement. You'll notice on the ordinance from Clayton County that they have some issues some areas not filled in, rather. But essentially, this is where we have met to discuss possible projects for the inclusion in the SPLOST referendum that the county will hear on the 8th day of July 2025, because they need to place it on the, after all the municipalities have agreed, place it on the ballot for November 4th, 2025. If you have any questions on that, please ask me, but this is where we go through and the distributions are delineated. Also, the projects are codified, and as well as, thank you, as well as the distribution points, because it's collected by the state, funneled to the county, and then dispersed to the individual municipalities. So the reason for the, I guess, a little bit early launch on this is so that if this doesn't pass on the first attempt to the voters, who will have to approve this, then we have another opportunity to put it on the ballot for a second try. But on the back of it, you'll see towards the end, the project list that we have created. And that's the project list that is displayed up here. These are put out in general buckets. I would, the distribution for the county, their projected revenue for this, and it's a 1 cent sales tax. And I'd just like to remind everybody that means that it's a true consumption tax. It's not levied on any individual or any necessarily the resident. The reason these are so appealing is because anyone who comes through Clayton County, visits Clayton County, or buys anything in Clayton County, the tax is assessed on them at a penny. The collection over the 6-year period would be $412,791,335. The distribution is similar to the distribution that was done on the lost, and this is on the second to the last page in the packet. So the percentage that we would see from the city of Morrow is 3.77% of that, which equates to $13,300,233. I would draw the attention to everyone in attendance that the Level 1 project, Tier 1 project on the SPLOST is where the county does a project that is deemed to be in the benefit of all the citizens, so it is a first draw. The county has assured us that they're going to do a $60 million bond. That $60 million is ear tagged for jail upgrades. I have requested, as mayor and council, I think we've discussed this, requested information on that. As of yet, I have not obtained it. We hopefully will get it. I think our attorney's working on helping us through some of that because apparently they think it's an attorney-client privilege situation. But the disbursements, or at least the project list that we have on the final page, is distributed into several categories. Oh, next page, okay. Just pull it up. So the major capital outlays we have here is a 10% number for capital outlay of major equipment, and that would be the battery backup systems, the generator for the city hall and the fire station, as ours is aging out, and some major HVAC system replacements that are high dollar replacements at around $500,000. 30% for public safety, which would be upgrades at the public safety facility, the public works facility, AI enhanced traffic systems, an AI emergency response system, predictive crime and event system, and motion cameras and hardware that would be distributed throughout the city. Quality of life projects at 35%, which would include the gym retrofit at the Angel Creek Community Center in Reynolds Road, the Bart Memorial Park Phase 1. Apparently one didn't make it on there, but you guys have seen the outlays for some of those projects. Recreation playground enhancements here at the City Hall Park, a Veterans Park that we have in kind of the formative plans out at the Reynolds Road facility as well. The IoTs are part of the Smart City outlay, which includes monitoring systems and attachments that would go on to various implementations such as traffic lights, street lights, et cetera. The solar power is the lighting fixtures along the pathway, a much cheaper way for us to light up the path system. As many of you all know, if you've been out after dark, there are no lights on it, so that would help us be able to do that, as well as create the mesh system that goes along with the smart city, so you would have internet connectivity out in that area as well. Pathway and camera systems, pathway and cameras and emergency notifications that would be attached to those lighting systems. Other smart city software and hardware, synchronized traffic control devices and software which would synchronize the traffic lights throughout the city for a much more common sense approach to traffic control. If there's no traffic coming from the cross streets, the light doesn't turn red, so it's not on a sensor or anything of the nature. It actually is predictive analysis on the traffic flows. Public Wi-Fi and fiber implementation, and the other 25% is for the building facilities and infrastructure, which would be sidewalks, traffic mitigation, roadway improvements, stormwater design and improvements, and autonomous vehicle and planning, design, and implementation.
Questions? Ms. Knight,
No question.
Ms. Dean,
Angel Creek Community Center.
Yes, ma'am. You didn't
Angel
like
Greek
the
or
other one.
Angel Creek?
Sorry?
Angel Greek or Angel Creek?
Creek.
Creek.
It's not, it's Greek on here, but it's actually Creek.
that's the name of the.
So that's the
water next to
gymnasium?
it.
That's the facility out there for the community center, and then the gymnasium out there, as well as if there's monies left over, which there hopefully would be to enhance the not the big sanctuary building, but the wedding chapel next door.
So that it is Creek.
It is Creek,
I thought
unless
we
there's some
did
Greeks running around out there.
We speak a lot of Greek, but it's not the Greek we speak.
Autonomous vehicle and planning.
Yes, ma'am. Kind of like the Waymo systems and some of the other busing systems where you could integrate that with the convocation center and the hotels, run buses through there, or basically app-based type of autonomous vehicles that could utilize the pass system as well as the roadway system. It's the wave of the future.
Ms. Nguyen,
No comment.
I want to start a couple. So we have several different taxes that are sales taxes, right? One is known as local option sales tax lost, and the dollars that are raised from that offset directly, dollar for dollar, the property taxes of the jurisdiction, including Marl. So what Marl collects goes back. Then you have SPLOST, Special Purpose Local Option Sales Tax. And the theory is this is not something that actually subsidizes the traditional government operations, which means if we were going to replace, hammers and nails or whatever it is, that should be covered under our normal things. We're not supposed to be dipping into that for that. But when you have big, large capital improvements such as air conditioning systems, if you're going to build a new building, we're not building a new building, but roads, these are things that we're basically using this next section to continue to enhance what we have, keep what we have in good shape, and cover that. You also have an education special purpose local option sales tax, which basically that is used for infrastructure for schools and different things like that by the school system. And the last one is the MARTA tax, where they tax you and you can't use it. But so those are the four that are out there. This one goes usually in a 6-year increment. So it would be along the lines from 2027, all the way to 3033, and then the next one would be after that. We allocated funds in 2008, 2014, 2021. And all the 8 money's gone, all the 14 money's gone. In other words, it's been allocated where it was supposed to be allocated. That we might have a few dollars left where we have, but we're pretty close to out. Then there's some thought process that says, you know, if the cost of materials continue to go up faster than the cost of inflation, in other words, inflation might be, say, 3%, you know, but your car might have improved a whole lot more than that. You know, you have to look at it and say, should you bond some of these things so that you can get them done today, right? So some of the answers may be yes, some of the answers probably not, right? So you wouldn't just go out and borrow, say, $13 million. You might go out and borrow, say, 4, right? So that the cost of the capital exceeds the cost of the increase. So just a little bit of common sense when it's being played. But when you go out and you ask for the vote, you have to tell the public, would you have an intention? Doesn't mean you will. It just means, would we consider it? You'd have to be financially illiterate not to consider it, but maybe not at 7%. But remember, we're the government, right? So at the government, we can get a much better municipal bond. The county can get a much better bond. And usually right now, it'd probably be about a subpar 4, right? So you could 3.99 or something like that. Private sector might be at 7.5, 9, depending on what your rates are. So that's a finance discussion. All of those would come, you know, back before the council. In other words, if you're bonding anything, all of that gets decided right here. So, comments from the audience? Here, Mr. Collins.
Mr. Baker, can you elaborate a little bit on that synchronized traffic control device and software?
Yes, sir. That is something that, if you've ever been to Peachtree Corners, they have a very similar deal. The traffic integration would be where you could actually overlay your camera systems that you'd have attached to the various locations in the city, but specifically on your different traffic control devices. So let's say we have a fire that's on the other end of the city, the fire department's coming to respond on it. Emergency, it actually picks up the geosponder on the actual fire truck and turns the opposing lights red, so it makes it easier for them to get through the intersections. It also can do an overlay with a pursuit. If you're doing a pursuit and some of the techniques we use may not be that we want the opposing lights shut off, it'll actually predict where the vehicles are going. If there's responding units, and it will ease the traffic flow for them to get to where they're going without the high risk and liability that we typically have. It could even turn the lights red ahead of the pursuit, kind of create a rolling roadblock and traffic barrier for the fleeing vehicle. So it's just an enhancement of that, as well as for normal everyday traffic control, where instead of synchronized lights that are turning red, and you may be sitting in a red light for 3 or 4 minutes going, why am I sitting here? There's nobody coming the other way. It doesn't do that. So it reads the traffic, it predicts the traffic coming that way. So if there's a car actually coming up and there's no one else coming, it may turn that light red so that you have ease of travel. It helps on fuel economy,
So that's
different things.
controlled by the city and not GDOT?
Well, GDOT would have to come into an agreement with us, as they have in other agencies, which is not a hard agreement to get as long as it ties into their system. It's a similar type deal. It's not going to be a recorded traffic because they don't store that data for obvious reasons. So it would just be used primarily for that predictive application in the software.
Also remember this, the only reason GDOT even has some control is because that's a state highway. So everything on Mount Zion, with the exception of the state highway, that's all ours. It's always been local, right? We don't have that many, but let's say you're a bigger city where you got more than one main through street. The only reason that one is controlled is because it's a state highway, which also helps if you have to pave it, but that's it.
And we wouldn't have to worry about traffic light synchronization, the backups at 75
Right.
right there.
Yep, and I think we'd want to, when you look at this, you want to encroach a little bit out into the outer perimeters of the county as well, because it doesn't do too much good on 54 if outside of the jurisdiction it does. But that's just an agreement with the Clayton County DOT or the state DOT to see if we could put an IoT on some of those devices just to free flow the traffic out of the city of Morrow.
How would, anytime we have, seems like lightning, thunder, this light always goes out
Yep.
over here. How would that affect?
It may not, because it's a power issue.
Okay.
Yeah.
It has very little to do with the light and everything to do with it. It has no juice. Just like at your house.
But the good news is on the sensors on those, it would immediately notify you of those type of surges and power usages. Same thing on the solar light systems they do. you can gauge the usage, and it'd have an AC backup on it anyway, but they're very good about different things, like you could attach air quality modules on there so that you could know what your air quality is, what the temperature is, flooding, different things of that nature.
And most of them have internet connection now, but if you've never seen kind of like an old school signal line, there's nothing to them. There really isn't. You open a little circuit board, power's basically the same thing that you could plug into right there. It's small, it's not big, not a lot of power. Little LED lights, it's not much to it. Screw them up though, kind of becomes important too.
Because that one night, that transformers that went one over here by Huey, and then next, that going that way, 4 times. And I look at the line, I thought, oh man, there's baby fire.
Yeah.
One, remember? One after another. And I thought, oh, no, yes.
But, you know, the world is changing at a fast enough pace. You know, you just want to stay above it. Some of what we see right now isn't even camera related, where it's motion. You know, they got the sensors in the road where you got to back up to make sure you get the right one. You know, that's current, but that doesn't mean that that'll be that way forever, so.
But I was worried that I thought maybe it was, or that fire. And then I said, I thought, oh my God, they coming towards my house.
Miss Dean.
AI emergency response, what is that?
Those could be a number of different things. What they do is, again, the predictive analysis that it does helps you kind of know, especially if there's a traffic wreck or something with the camera integration on that. Sometimes we get reports of that and there's nothing there. But also you would have it literally helps them with the pathing of how they go to the calls as well. So it's just an overlay over the system of what you would have with the camera systems on the different light poles. And it also helps, I mean, on some of the things you're doing some of the scanning it can do, if you've had a vehicle that you know you just left the scene, you arrive at the scene and it just left the scene and you know kind of what the vehicle description is, or at least a make or model of it, maybe not have the tag, the system will actually go through and eliminate all other vehicles except for that vehicle and give you a location on other vehicles that meet that make and model description. I mean, there's a number of things it can do.
And one other thing that's not
Scary
really
cool.
in here so
Can't get away
much.
with those crimes anymore.
And we'll ask for the approval from the city council, but we want some ability to negotiate. We can't really negotiate the number because of how it's set up, and if we defaulted, the number would change. But to our negative, not to our positive. But the county, for an example, has this $60 million project, right? And maybe it meets the need, maybe it doesn't, right? So we want to kind of know, you know, how that's gonna go. That's one. Then the second one, you know, comes down to, you know, you got bonding, so we have that one, and there's a third one. All right, what is it, Baker? It's important to, if the county does do the $60 million project, and it is a true jail project, okay, debatable, but let's say it is. Theoretically, they could take the 60 million off the top, which means right now we get a certain amount of money per month for local option sales or special purpose local option sales section. So you would have that in your piggy bank. You know, but if you're looking at how much money is collected totality and the county took it, you might not get your next check for 18 months. Yeah. So we're looking at it saying, you know, Clayton County, let's be reasonable, right? You can bond this project, right? Because it's, you know, more cost effective in terms of certain things. But don't shut us all off, right? So, you know, keep that flowing at the same time. A portion of what these proceeds are would offset your bond cost. And that's just finance, right? So if they chose not to do it that way, you know, none of the 7 cities would benefit from that. I don't see how Clayton County would either. But we've had good discussions, but good discussions aren't the same as this is what you're going to do. Does that make sense? So that is, you know, if we all get hit by a bus, that's something for somebody to pay attention to, is to make sure they just don't take, you know, because they would have a right to do it. You know, the question comes down to, is that smart? And we don't think it is. So we'd want the ability to negotiate with that and pout if we have to. Any other comments? And we need to vote on this, don't we? Baker? Oh, I'm sorry. Hey, Bonita, good to see you.
I would really like to know a little bit more about this level 1 jail project they plan to do. Is this an upgrade current jail, a new jail, or what's the deal on that?
It's attorney-client privilege, they can't discuss that, so, that's, no, that's,
That's what they told
that's
us.
what they
We can't
told
get our
us.
hands on it.
So we are actually, Michael Hewing here is our, city attorney. We're looking into that to see if we can get, I don't want the detailed plans or why or what, I just wanna know what your outlay is. And I think that's reasonable. A lot of the cities and the mayor and council also wanna see that. We would feel much more comfortable knowing that, because it's not beneficial for them to build a county office building. So what exactly that $60 million entails is something that we're pursuing.
And they're talking like an addition to the jail, not a new one. But again, it's very vague, you know, and it doesn't breed confidence if you tell me you can't tell me. Right, this isn't the nuclear codes, right? That's right. So you do wonder, you know, am I now suddenly gonna get administrative offices in the county courthouse, because there is administrative offices there? And you're going, that part of the 60 million would not be considered, you know, a countywide thing. So that would be, the county has to pay their section of it. But if you just put it all in one big block and nobody looks, then you would be offsetting somebody else's cost. And to be honest, there's no reason you can't turn this over, for goodness sakes.
So what's the plan if the voters vote down?
Do it again. I'm serious, you know, you go, you know, you do the first one. If you just say that is terrible, you know, 1 year later, we do it again. We have enough time to do it twice. But successfully, the county has voted a number of times, you know, so far, you know, nobody's really taken advantage of it. And theoretically, whether you're in the cities or in the county, you should be able to see where these SPLOST projects are being spent. So it's not going into the piggy bank to, you know, enhance certain things. I'm not saying every project's the greatest project that you ever saw, but I'm just saying, you know, as a local jurisdiction, you get to decide that. Is that good? Anybody else? You said there was somebody else who had a question? Was that it? All right, ready to vote?
Yes, sir. I vote yes.
Unless nobody else has got it. All right, so, do I hear a motion to approve? To approve and allow the city management to negotiate the mayor to sign any documents as required? Do I hear a motion? Do I hear a second? Motion properly seconded. All those in favor say aye. Ms. Knight? Aye. Ms. Dean?
Aye.
Ms. Wynn? Aye. And it should be noted that Qua's on an airplane, so it is an excused absence. He'll be back home shortly. We're gonna go into executive session for, legal discussions. Do I hear a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion properly second. All those in favor say aye. Ms. Knight?
Aye.
Ms. Dean?
Aye.
And Ms. Wynn?
Aye.
All right, this shouldn't take very long. We're done though.
No.
Do I hear a motion to adjourn executive session?
So moved.
All those in favor say aye. Ms. Knight?
Aye.
Ms. Dean?
Aye.
And Ms. Wynn?
Aye.
Motion's over. Meeting's adjourned. We will see you at,
That thing.
the National Night Out.
That thing
National
that-
Dunking